The room spun as I blinked awake, my head pounding like a drum solo at a rock concert. A tangle of sheets clung to my bare torso, and the mirror across the room revealed a map of Hickeys blooming across my neck and chest like some wild, forbidden art. Worst of all, I was in Ethan's bed, my straight roommate's bed, and he was nowhere to be found. Logan Carter, 25, graphic designer by day, hopeless romantic by night, was not supposed to wake up like this. Not in Seattle. Not in the cramped but trendy Capitol Hill apartment we'd shared for 6 months. And definitely not after a night I couldn't fully remember. Ethan Hayes, the golden boy firefighter with a smile that could melt glaciers, had always been the untouchable straight guy, my secret crush, my impossible dream. So how the hell did I end up here? Marked up like I'd been claimed. With no clue what happened after last night's bar crawl, I stumbled out of his bed, heart racing, and yanked on my jeans from the floor. The apartment was quiet, save for the distant hum of traffic outside. Ethan's room smelled like his cedarwood cologne, and the memory of his laugh, low, warm, and infuriatingly perfect, hit me like a punch. I checked my phone. No texts. No calls. Just a blurry photo of us at the bar. His arms slung over my shoulder. Both of us grinning like idiots. My stomach twisted. Did we? The door creaked open. And there he was, Ethan, all 6 feet of him, carrying a tray of coffee and bagels like some domestic god. His dark hair was still damp from a shower, and his black V-neck clung to his broad shoulders. "Morning. Sunshine," he said, his voice teasing but soft, like he was in on a secret I hadn't been told. He set the tray on the counter, his brown eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Ethan, what the fuck?" I blurted, pointing at the Hickeys in the mirror's reflection. "Why am I in your bed? Why do I look like I lost a fight with a vacuum cleaner?" He chuckled, stepping closer, his gaze flicking to my neck. "You don't remember? You were pretty out of it last night. Kept saying you loved my stupid firefighter muscles." His grin was maddening, like he was enjoying this way too much. "Don't worry, Logan. Nothing happened well. Nothing you didn't want." My face burned. "Nothing I didn't want? Ethan, you're straight. You've got a girlfriend, or had one. Last I checked." "What's going on?" His smile faltered, just for a second, before he shrugged. "Ex-girlfriend. And maybe I'm not as straight as you think." He stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. "You were the one who kissed me first. You know, my brain short-circuited." "Me? Kiss him? No way." I'd spent months hiding my feelings, keeping my crush locked down tight. But the way he was looking at me now, soft, almost possessive, made me question everything. "You're messing with me," I said, voice shaky. "This is some kind of prank, right?" Ethan's hand grazed my arm, sending a jolt through me. "No prank, Logan. You're in my bed because I wanted you there. And judging by those marks, you weren't complaining." He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. "You're mine now, aren't you?" I stumbled back, heart hammering. This wasn't the Ethan I knew, the guy who'd high-five me after a Seahawks game or tease me about my artsy coffee order. This was someone else, someone who was rewriting every rule I'd lived by. And the worst part of me wanted to lean into it, to let him claim me like he seemed so ready to do. But I wasn't ready, not yet. I needed answers. I needed to know what happened last night, and why Ethan, The guy who'd never shown a hint of interest in men was suddenly acting like we were a couple. "I need to get out of here," I muttered, grabbing my shirt and heading for the door. "Logan, wait," Ethan called, but I was already halfway down the hall, my mind a chaotic mess of desire, confusion, and fear. Whatever this was, it was dangerous, and I wasn't sure I could handle what came next. The streets of Capitol Hill buzzed with life, rain-slicked sidewalks, neon signs, and the chatter of brunch crowds spilling out of cafes. I ducked into a coffee shop, my usual haunt, and ordered a double espresso, hoping the caffeine would clear the fog in my head. My neck itched under my scarf, the Hickeys a constant reminder of the morning's chaos. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my camera roll, desperate for clues. The photo from last night was time-stamped 1:17 a.m. Ethan's arm was around me, his face closer than it needed to be, his eyes sparkling with something I hadn't noticed before, something like hunger. There was another photo, too, I didn't remember taking, laughing, my head tilted back, and Ethan's lips brushing my jaw. My heart skipped. Had I really kissed him first, or was he playing some game I didn't understand? I texted Mia, my best friend, and the only person I trusted to make sense of this. "Emergency. Meet me at the Beanery. I'm losing my mind." She replied instantly, "Be there in 10. Spill." Mia swept in like a hurricane, her purple hair and leather jacket impossible to miss. "Okay, Logan, what's the crisis?" she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I yanked down my scarf, revealing the Hickeys, and her eyes widened. "Holy shit. Who did that to you?" "Ethan," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I woke up in his bed this morning. He's acting like we're together." Mia's jaw dropped. "Ethan? Mister? I'm so straight, I could be a ruler, Ethan. What the hell happened?" "I don't know," I groaned, burying my face in my hands. "We went out last night, got drunk, and now he's saying I kissed him first. And he's acting all boyfriend. Why? It's freaking me out." Mia leaned back, smirking. "Well, damn. I always thought he looked at you a little too long. But this is next level. So, what's the problem? You've been crushing on him forever." "The problem is I don't know if this is real," I said, my voice cracking. "What if he's just confused or experimenting? I can't be his test run." "Mia, I've been down that road before, and it broke me." Her expression softened. "I get it. But maybe you need to talk to him. Like, actually talk. Not just run away. If he's serious, you'll know. And if he's not," she shrugged, "you're Logan Carter. You're a catch. He'd be lucky to have you." I wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at me. My last relationship, with a guy who'd experimented and then ghosted me, had left scars I wasn't eager to reopen. Ethan wasn't like that, or at least, I didn't think he was. But how could I trust him when I couldn't even trust my own memories? My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "Where'd you run off to? We need to talk." "Come home." My pulse raced. Home. He'd called our apartment home, like it was ours, together. The word felt heavy, loaded with promises I wasn't sure I could handle. I stood outside our apartment building, the Seattle drizzle soaking through my hoodie, Ethan's text burning a hole in my pocket. The idea of facing him, his easy confidence, that disarming smile, made my stomach churn. But Mia was right. I couldn't keep running. I climbed the stairs, each step heavier than the last, and found Ethan in the living room, sprawled on the couch with a beer in hand. He looked up, his expression unreadable. "You're back," he said, setting the bottle down. "Thought you'd bolted for good." "I needed air," I said, dropping my keys on the counter. "And answers." "Ethan, what happened last night?" "No games." He stood, crossing the room in 2 strides, and stopped just short of me. His eyes searched mine, intense but unguarded. "You really don't remember?" he asked, his voice softer than I expected. "We were at the cuff. You were dancing, all wild and free, and I couldn't take my eyes off you. Then you grabbed me, pulled me close, and kissed me like it was the end of the world." My breath caught. The Cuff was a gay bar, one I dragged Ethan to as a joke months ago. He'd gone along, laughing, charming everyone, but never hinted at anything more. "And you kissed me back?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "Yeah," he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I did. And then we came back here, and things got heated. But I stopped it before it went too far. You were drunk, Logan. I didn't want you to regret anything." His words hit like a tidal wave. He'd stopped it. He'd been the responsible one, even as I'd apparently thrown myself at him. Shame crept up my spine, but so did something else, relief. Maybe that he hadn't taken advantage. "So why the Hickeys?" I demanded, pointing at my neck. "And why are you acting like this now?" Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit I'd noticed over months of living together. "The Hickeys, yeah, that was me. I got carried away." And as for now, he stepped closer, his voice dropping. "I've been thinking about you for a while, Logan. Last night just broke something open. I'm not playing games. I want this. I want us." My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. "Ethan, you're straight. You dated Sarah for 2 years. You've never even looked at a guy before." "Maybe I didn't let myself," he said, his voice raw. "But I'm looking now, and all I see is you." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But the weight of my past, of being someone's phase or experiment, held me back. "I need time," I said finally, my voice cracking. "This is too much." He nodded, his jaw tight. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." The next few days were a blur of awkward silences and stolen glances. Ethan was true to his word. He didn't push, didn't crowd me, but every time he smiled or brushed past me in the kitchen, my resolve weakened. I threw myself into work, designing logos for a local startup, but my mind kept drifting back to him, to the way his hand had felt on my arm, to the way he'd said us like it was the most natural thing in the world. On Thursday, I got a call from my older brother, Nate, who lived across town. He was the only family I had in Seattle, and he'd always been my rock. "You sound off," he said after I picked up. "What's going on?" I hesitated, then spilled everything: the bar, the Hickeys, Ethan's sudden shift. Nate listened quietly, then let out a low whistle. "Damn, Logan. That's intense. You think he's for real?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I want him to be. But what if he's just confused? I can't go through that again." Nate was quiet for a moment. "You remember when I came out to Mom and Dad? They didn't get it at first, but they came around because they saw how sure I was. Maybe Ethan's figuring himself out, too. Give him a chance to prove it, but protect your heart." Okay. His words stuck with me as I hung up. Protect my heart. Easier said than done when Ethan was in the next room, humming off key while cooking dinner. That night, he made tacos, my favorite, and set a plate in front of me with a shy smile. Peace offering, he said. No pressure. I took a bite, the flavors bursting on my tongue, and realized how much effort he was putting in. Not just the food, but the way he was trying to show me he cared. Thanks, I said, meeting his eyes. This is nice. His smile widened, and for the first time since that morning, I let myself imagine what us could mean. Friday night, Ethan suggested we go out, not to a bar, but to Pike Place Market, where the city came alive with street performers and the scent of fresh flowers. Just us, he said, his eyes hopeful. No pressure. Just fun, I agreed, partly because I was curious, partly because I couldn't resist the way his face lit up. We wandered through the market, sharing a bag of roasted nuts, laughing at a juggler who nearly dropped his pins. Ethan's hand brushed mine, and when I didn't pull away, he laced our fingers together. It felt so natural, yet so surreal, like stepping into a dream I wasn't sure I could trust. You ever think about what you want? He asked as we leaned against a railing, watching the ferries glide across Puget Sound. Like, really want. I glanced at him, his profile sharp against the sunset. I want something real, I said. Something that lasts. I'm tired of half measures and heartbreak. He turned to me, his expression serious. I want that, too. And I think I could be that for you. Logan. If you let me. My chest tightened. He was saying all the right things, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Ethan, this is new for you. What if you wake up tomorrow and realize you're not into guys, or that you're not into me? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled me closer, his hand cupping my face. I'm not promising I've got it all figured out, he said. But I know how I feel when I'm with you. It's not just a phase. Logan. It's you. He kissed me then, slow and deliberate, right there in the middle of the market. My world tilted, the noise of the crowd fading as his lips moved against mine. It wasn't like the blurry, drunken kiss I couldn't remember. It was real, grounding, and terrifyingly perfect. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed, but Ethan was there, sitting on the edge with a mug of coffee. Thought you might need this, he said, handing it to me. His hair was a mess, and his smile was softer than I'd ever seen it. Thanks, I said, taking a sip. You're going to spoil me. Good, he said, leaning in to kiss my forehead. You deserve it. But the bubble burst that afternoon when Sarah, Ethan's ex, showed up at her door. She was all sharp angles and fiery energy, her blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Ethan, we need to talk, she said, barely glancing at me. I excused myself, retreating to my room, but I could hear their voices through the wall. You broke up with me out of nowhere, Sarah said, her tone sharp. And now I hear you're with him? What the hell? Ethan, it's not about you, Ethan replied, his voice steady. I'm figuring out who I am. And Logan, he's part of that. My heart raced, torn between hope and fear. Sarah's voice softened, but I couldn't make out her words. When she left, Ethan knocked on my door. You okay? He asked, stepping inside. Was that true? I asked. What you said to her? Every word, he said, sitting beside me. I'm not hiding. Logan. Not from her. Not from anyone. I wanted to believe him, But the stakes felt higher now. This wasn't just about us. It was about Ethan coming to terms with a part of himself he'd never explored. And I was caught in the crossfire. The next week was a tightrope walk. Ethan was attentive, cooking breakfast, leaving notes on my laptop, even dragging me to a local art gallery because he knew I loved it. But every gesture came with a question. Was this real? Or was I setting myself up for a fall? At work, I confided in my co-worker, Javier, who'd been out since high school. He's trying, Javier said over lunch. But you gotta ask yourself, are you okay being his first? It's a lot of pressure. He was right. Ethan's confidence was intoxicating, but also scared me. What if he was moving too fast? Diving into something he wasn't ready for? I decided to test the waters. That night, I suggested we go to a queer open mic night at a local bar. If Ethan was serious, he'd have to step into my world. He didn't hesitate. He showed up in a fitted jacket, his arm around me as we walked in. The bar was packed with familiar faces, friends from the community, performers I'd known for years. Ethan didn't flinch, even when people stared or whispered. He clapped for every poet, laughed at every joke, and when I got up to read a piece I'd written about unrequited love, his eyes never left me. Afterward, he pulled me outside, his hands framing my face. "You're incredible," he said. "I didn't know you could write like that. You didn't know a lot of things about me," I teased. But my voice was soft. "You sure you're ready for this? For us?" He kissed me, fierce and sure, right there on the street. "I'm ready," he said. "I'm all in, but doubt has a way of creeping back in." A few days later, I overheard Ethan on the phone with his brother, Matt, a gruff ex-Marine who lived in Tacoma. "I don't know. Man," Ethan said, his voice low. "It's complicated. I didn't expect to feel like this." My stomach dropped. Was he having second thoughts? I confronted him later, my voice shaking. "If you're not sure, Ethan, tell me now. I can't do this if you're just trying it out." He looked stricken. "Logan, no. That's not what I meant. I was telling Matt how much you mean to me. How I'm scared I'll mess this up because I've never felt this way before." His honesty disarmed me, but also laid bare the truth. This was new for him, and new meant risky. I wanted to protect my heart, but I also wanted him more than I'd ever wanted anyone. The turning point came at a firefighters' charity gala Ethan invited me to. It was a big deal. His whole crew was there, along with his family. "I want you to meet them," he said, his voice steady but nervous. As my boyfriend, the word hit me like a spark. Boyfriend. I agreed, but my nerves were a live wire as we walked into the venue. A sleek downtown hotel. Ethan looked incredible in a tailored suit, and I'd borrowed one of Nate's, hoping I didn't look out of place. His crew was welcoming, but I caught the curious glances, the whispers. Ethan didn't care. He kept his hand on my lower back, introducing me with pride. Then we ran into Matt, his brother. He was all sharp edges and skepticism, his handshake firm enough to bruise. "So, you're the guy," he said, eyeing me. Ethan's never brought anyone to these things before. I forced a smile. "Guess I'm special." Matt didn't laugh. Later, I overheard him talking to Ethan. "You sure about this? You're throwing away everything you know for what? A fling?" "It's not a fling," Ethan snapped. "I love him." The words stopped me cold. Love. He hadn't said it to me yet, but hearing it now, in the heat of an argument. Felt like a lifeline. When we left the gala, I pulled him aside. "Did you mean it?" I asked. "What you said to Matt?" Ethan's eyes softened. "Yeah, Logan. I love you. I've been trying to show you, but I guess I should have just said it." I kissed him, right there in the parking lot, my heart full to bursting. "I love you, too," I whispered. And for the first time, I believed this could work. Months later, Ethan and I were still navigating our new normal. There were challenges. His family was slow to come around, and I still wrestled with moments of doubt. But every time I faltered, Ethan was there, steady and sure, proving his love in 1,000 small ways. One night, we sat on our apartment's tiny balcony, wrapped in a blanket, the city lights sprawling below. "You ever think about that night?" he asked, his arm around me. "The one where you woke up in my bed?" I laughed, leaning into him. "Every day." "I thought you'd lost your mind." He grinned, kissing my temple. "Maybe I did. But it was the best kind of crazy. We weren't perfect. There were still questions about the future, about how we'd fit into each other's worlds. But as I looked at him, his face illuminated by the glow of the city, I realized something. Love wasn't about having all the answers. It was about choosing each other every day, even when it was messy or scary. Ethan had chosen me, and I'd chosen him. And in that choice, we'd found something worth fighting for, a love that was real, raw, and ours. The Hickeys had faded, but the marks they'd left on my heart, those were permanent.